Greetings, church. My name is Jeff. I'm one of the pastors at Fellowship Church, and today I want to share with you two observations that I've had as we've been planting plants in my backyard. The first observation is mainly about God, and the second one is mainly about us. So for the past 10 days or so, my family has been very excited and consumed with planting plants in our backyard, trying to make it a little bit more beautiful. And there's a lot of work to be done. There's a pretty big space. And one thing that we keep coming back to is we keep moving dirt. This pile needs to move over here for this project, and then we move it over here for this other thing. And we keep having what seems like too much dirt. And so we're getting a lot of use out of a wheelbarrow and shovels and reshaping hills. There's a lot. But we ended up buying a couple of plants and a few trees, and so I knew that because our dirt is so tough, kind of clay-like, that we should, instead of using the jackhammer and potentially hurting ourselves, get an electronic jackhammer, like the 11-pound kind. So I went over to Home Depot, rented it, and we just kind of let all the kids try it and dig these holes. And for one of the trees reached about 3 gallons. We have to have the hole be about 2 or 3 times the width of the top of the tree, and then a little bit more than the depth. And so the hole ended up being about 2 foot by 2 foot by 18 inches deep. And one of my daughters was using the jackhammer and just going and going, and then we dig it out, and then jackhammering and digging it out. And after about 20 minutes of working super hard on this hole, it was done. And she stood back and looked at it and was just so proud of the work that she had done. And it was pretty amazing, actually. But it was just a little hole, 2 feet by 2 feet by 18 inches. And we were looking at the pile of dirt that she had made and how hard the work was. And we were reminded of God's power. And in Mark 11:23, it says, "Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, 'Be taken up and thrown into the sea,' and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says will come to pass, it will be done for him." And I don't want to focus on the faith part of that or the prayer part of that, but that God can move mountains, that it will be done for him. And we don't just see this in Mark related to prayer, but we also see it in creation. That God, by the power of his word, created the earth and created the universe. And we were just thinking about moving a couple of cubic feet of dirt and how much work that took and power tools compared to God speaking a word and all of the mountains were created, or all of the mountains could be moved. He is a powerful God. We took a moment as a family, just right there in the dirt, sweating, and we were in awe of God's great power. The other observation that I want to tell you about came a couple of days later. So after we got all the plants in the ground, we decided that the way that we wanted to water the plants was through a drip system. So we put it all in, and you kind of run all these lines, and then you put these ends on the lines that go right into the plant. And depending on which end you put in, it determines how much water goes in. For the trees, we put like 4 gallons per hour, and for the littler plants, 1 gallon per hour. And we turned it on, and I turned it on, and the kids were like, "It's not on." So we go over and look, and sure enough, it is on. It's just drip, 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 drip. It's not spraying like a sprinkler. It's just a little bit. We put it on for about 20 minutes a day, and that's all. And so for the first couple of days, we put it on for longer so the plants could be established. And even after these drip systems had been on for an hour, the plants didn't look any bigger. In fact, even on many of them, the dirt didn't look wet around it. It just sort of sunk down deep into the plant, I think. But the thing about the way the drip system works is that it will have an effect over time. Right? It will not only keep the plants alive, but this way of watering the plants will give them growth, little by little by little. I'm going to read to you from 2 Corinthians 3:18, and it says, "And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. So we are transformed as Christians degree by degree, little by little. And this growth comes from beholding the glory of the Lord by the power of the Spirit. So in my backyard, none of the plants that we planted last week look any different yet. But many of the plants that we planted last year have doubled in size, and we can see a considerable difference. And somebody came before us about 20 years ago and planted a whole bunch of trees along the back line of my property and in a couple of other spots. And those 20-year-old trees are huge. It's amazing. So I want to bring these two observations together. God is so powerful. And part of the way that he uses his power is to transform our lives as Christians. As we behold his glory day by day, little by little, degree by degree, we are transformed slowly like a plant, so that after a year you can observe, you can see a difference. And after 20 years, there is great hope.